Is that what I think it is? Looks like a big old red worm. And then what else is that? We've got an isopod shedding their skin. I mean their shell, exoskeleton. Isopods are roly-polies or pill bugs. And here is another one shedding their skin exoskeleton. That's what is the little booty just came off. Little booty just came off. So, worms just hanging out just below the top level surface. Hey everybody, Jason Sebastian, Butterfly Square Garden here with another video. Just wanted to show you guys how dirt is made. That's kind of what I'm focusing on right now. So, how is dirt made? We've got a food source on the top, in this case a burdock leaf, and then over here is some potatoes with pill bugs. If I can get a focus, we've got pill bugs eating the potatoes. And then over here, this leaf, it's a leaf. It's got all these little tiny white things. So over here we've got a detritus-worm, and then over here we've got a springtail. And there's lots and lots of springtails. Springtails are also called hexapods because they've got 6 legs. As for the detritus-worm, I don't quite know the name of them yet. But the name of these worms are called red wigglers, and this is, in total, it's a terrarium that I made for fun. There was pill bugs in my worm bins, which are over here, and I was taking them out and putting them in here. And then I added some worms, I added some leaves, everything below this level is straight worm castings. They're, well, and isopod castings, but right there's a worm. Lots of worms. And the longer they're in here, the more, I don't want to say dirty. It's like they make dirt. That's what's going on here. Just below the surface, this is where all of the worms like to hang out. This is my terrarium. It's kind of like an advanced worm bin, in my opinion, because, I don't know, it's cool. You can look at it. I like to look at it a lot. But the springtails, the little tiny things, the little white specks, they're really good at cleaning up mold, and then the rest cleans up plant material. So that's what's going on here. And then when I sift out the worm castings, I put them over here. So this is like 35 pounds of worm castings, and then we've got I think it's called calcium carbonate, which is eggshells that I put in the coffee grinder, so they're powderized. Ooh, and then here's another thing that I'm really, really excited about. I don't know how far we're going to get with this project, and I've done this several times before, but let me show you because I'm really excited. How about I'll start over here. So if I turn this around, 1 second, everybody. Also, I have 3 jars and another terrarium back there with the same thing. But here's what I want to show you. I noticed in my worm bins, not these ones downstairs, but oh, look at this. This is the good stuff. Look at all those worms. Look at all those worms. This is like the back area where they hang out. I've also got like cuttlefish bones and then chicken bones for them to munch on. But this is technically the isopod tank, which I added worms to later. And the hexapods just added themselves. But what I wanted to say is this is mycelium, which I found downstairs, and it's just kind of starting to go through all of my stuff, and it's eating the toilet paper tubes. You see that? That's called mycelium. And it eats the cellulose of the wood. Cellulose is like the food source for it. And it's the same thing that the worms eat and the isopods. But the mycelium is for a mushroom. This one specifically, I think it's called like dry rot or wood rot. It's like a brown, crusty, it's not even really a mushroom. I don't know what to call it, but that's what the fruiting body is. So that's what this mycelium is. But then the stuff just like turns brown and nothing happens. But over here, the other day I went to the store and I got some oyster mushrooms. And I cut the tops off and I cooked them and ate them myself. But then I took the stems and I put them in these jars with coffee and cardboard shreddings. And look at this. Can you see? Where's a good spot? This one has air holes, this one doesn't. But look at the bottom over here. You see that white stuff? That wasn't there before. That's mycelium from the oyster mushroom. So what it's doing is the stems are reverting back into mycelium, and the mycelium, just like this is, it's colonizing, or it's eating up all the food source. The mycelium here, they're like little webs, like little tiny fine fuzzy webs, and it will eat all its coffee, and it'll eat the coffee and the cardboard, and then I will use it as a one I will try to fruit, and then the other one, the other jar, I will use as it's called spawn. You mix it in. I'll start adding, like, I'll put it in a bigger jar and I'll add more cardboard on top, and I'll start feeding it, and then we'll have oyster mushrooms. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys. I love my terrariums because it shows off worms and isopods or roly-polies, springtails, and then over here, ooh, this is my jar, and underneath we've got worms and a layer of worm castings. So now I'm starting to put the worms in jars, and they seem to be doing fine, you know, so whatever works. You know, I've got bigger pickle jars, and then in this tank there's also mycelium eating the wood, not oysters, unfortunately. But look at all those springtails. I also took springtails and I cultured 1, 2, 3, all the jars, and same thing with these jars. I cultured. I took from the worm bin, I took like a little leaf with tweezers and the hexapods, and I tapped them in and they fell in. and I call it like fairy dust, or my magical secret ingredient. So there are springtails in here because I just wanted to give the mycelium like a fighting chance, and I was hoping that they would eat the molds and leave the mycelium, because basically the mycelium is there, and there was mycelium over here, so they are eating the mycelium, but it's ripping through the wood so fast that I didn't add worms or anything, just the springtails. So that's my plan with the mushrooms. Aren't my little pill bugs the cutest little things ever? I love watching my worms. And in the other one, I've got both of them have centipedes. None of the jars have centipedes, but that tank also has some slugs. If you were to look in any of these bins, what you'll essentially find is a layer, you know, it's basically all worm castings and then a layer of cardboard shredding, and then I'll put my food in here. And then when it's time to harvest, I'll just like kind of peel some off from the edge. So that's what this is over here. I went through all of my worm bins, just like, you know, scooping some from the edge because the worms will crawl in and out. So this is just a good spot to collect worm castings. And then I put it in a bowl like this, and this bowl is actually a, whatchamacallit, a colander. It's a colander that fits a plastic bowl. So there's no holes here, but look what's happening over here. See the worm? The worms are crawling through the holes into this other bowl, and I do have leaves for them to eat, but this is drying out, and as it dries out, the worms leave it. Oh look, there's a worm right here on top. How funny. In the day, like if you were to put it in the sun, it would dry out. So that's my easy way to, and then I'll sift it later, but that's one way I collect worm castings to be sifted later. So that's just a quick video I wanted to show off. I'm just excited about, you know, my springtails. They're just like a magical secret ingredient that I like to add to everything, and they're culturing themselves. Like every single one of my worm bins has springtails in it. So close that up. I've got all of these binders, and over there I've got all of these binders, and Sunday is my bookkeeping day. So I'm just finishing. I record all of the food that goes in, all the water that goes in, all of the dry bedding that goes in, and I'm starting to record it just for funsies, but it's like, this is kind of like my life's work at this point. This is what I do. So I've got worms, I've got worm castings, oyster mushroom mycelium, we've got worm bins, I've got moldy bread. That's what's in here, moldy bread. And I'll literally just bury it in the worm bins. And that's where all of our food waste goes. It's the coolest thing. So anyways, over here, this is my fly trap. You wanna piss them off? I pissed them off, they're all flying around. This is my fly trap. It's a water bottle, and I taped a little funnel, and the flies go in and they stay in. And that's it. Ooh, this is another thing. Do you see what that is? It's like almost too small to see, but right there. That's gonna be tomatoes. Over here's my honey vine for the monarchs. Over here is like my little incubator. It is a laundry bin, and underneath is 2 painted ladies. So you can't really see, but that's what's in there. I hope that it's a male and a female, but we don't know. Oh my god, look at, oh my god. Look at those flies. They do not like being in there. But you catch more flies with honey, you know what they say. Sherry baby number 1, Sherry baby number 2, Sherry baby number 3, Sherry baby number 4. All of those were one plant that I split up, and I love it. They're all doing so good. Wrinklealia glauca number 1, Wrinklealia glauca number 2. They were one plant and they split, but they're both doing well. And it might flower. It might. I want it to flower so bad. This one might flower. And then we have 2 flower stalks here. And here on my water culture Phalaenopsis, it's been the same water for like 2 years. Gardenia. You guys can barely even see this anymore. African violet, strawberry. My sister's aloe. And my white pine from the backyard. The old painted ladies, my other stuff, monarchs. Okay, so that's what's going on in my room. This is what it looks like without the butterflies. I miss them, but it is winter. A warm winter. Okay. I'm gonna upload this video, and we did some good stuff in the park too. I'll keep you updated with the oyster mushroom mycelium. Plant native milkweed. I love you guys. Bye.